One guy just messaged me. I want to know when you. I mean, I've been in contact with Rick, but in contact, finally got to. Yeah. Rick couldn't find. Tomorrow morning.
Oh, there you go now. Well, tonight at whatever, I think we're done at 7:00.
Well, I did that on my computer, so I don't know. When did they want to do, but not getting any. Okay, I told her to go to YouTube anyway, so I think she'll be.
Okay.
Not here, but it's fine. Thank you. Bye. Hi. I know he's having health issues, so. if you start to
Slowly.
There I go.
Huh?
I don't need that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think anything else. I think we can.
Yeah.
I did it one time. And it was supposed to be. Okay.
They wanted to charge me another.
Okay, so those are I have or no.
Just for the.
I'll get them to you.
Good thing I didn't get on
I'm gonna try to. I was thinking about doing it in a rant.
Yeah, these are expensive.
Going out there.
Yeah.
Figure it out. I go. I'm sleeping before it starts.
I'd much rather shot. Yeah.
Just talk.
The DM. That we need.
That if somebody's your choice, I don't have to small to be either open, you get a $3 or $7.
You know something.
Well, when I put it in. I'm not kidding. They just put up with it.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks.
Get the windows down, that's why I said those windows went down. The car.
Going back to school.
Oh, yeah. You only say you put your rules. So I didn't have to. It is. It's like a-
Yeah.
Somebody in there.
From the town.
Yeah. Look at that one.
Yeah, actually, it was in there 5 years, when I put up signs.
Like,
all that stuff.
that thing was good.
So we shouldn't have. That was the one that.
So.
Everything.
Let's- It's okay. Right now, I can't. That's. Some of that stuff will be done, and I look at this, so, if I get the numbers here, and I put it down here. They said, I know, ladder, but better.
Yeah.
No. Black one. So this probably address my entry. Yeah. So he's running around. I know. I'm not.
And you got like a long time. So you're.
Oh.
You find that it's super
And I was back there. Yeah. Yeah. It's always. Yeah.
Yeah.
Meeting to order. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. To the republic. Well, I'd like to introduce Sam Byer. He's our new board member. Appointed. Hi, Sam. And a Republican, right? I believe so. I've never asked him, but.
Yeah, it had to be a Republican.
Approval of July 14, 2022 meeting. I was online. Did everybody get a chance to go over those? Is there any discussion?
And I'll just abstain because I was absent from that.
Oh, okay. Is there a motion to approve those?
I'll make a motion to approve those minutes.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Same with financial report, did you get to review those?
I did.
Any discussions on those?
I will make a motion to accept the financial report.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Now we need to vote on the superintendent's position. For the audience's information, we had 3 candidates that showed up. We originally had 9 people apply, but when we set up the interviews, there were 3 that appeared and we interviewed them. And the board was unanimous in the person that we decided to offer the position to. So tonight, at this meeting, to make it official, I would take a motion to vote for Tracy Williams as the new Starke County Park Superintendent.
I'll make a motion to hire Tracy Williams.
There's a second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Congratulations, Tracy.
She starts tomorrow, so don't expect a lot of extra.
Shield goes up. Angelina's in place.
But I can go back to being a good secretary. No.
We wish you the best. Welcome aboard. Okay, there's an update on Kramer Beach, is my understanding.
Yes, it took a while to get the signs done, but and I've been working with Amanda at the county garage. She called me today. They went to North Judson, picked them up. They're being put on poles. And I'm sure our new super will expedite getting this put in as a high priority when she starts tomorrow. I'm hoping by the end of the week to be in place. Apologize for the delay.
And Sam has brought up a point tonight about access, that road that accesses the beach.
Sure.
We feel like there might be a problem there if we had to get an emergency vehicle in there. So we're gonna turn that over to our legal counsel and see if it's my understanding that it's a county highway, so there may be some easements that we have. There may be, I don't know what we can do to make it accessible by emergency vehicle, but we'll turn it over to our attorney and let him do some research on that. Angelina, you want to notify him on that?
I will.
Update on the pier situation. We got a notice of it from the DNR that we're not in compliance with our permits. We kind of knew that might happen. So they sent us a letter. And basically what's wrong is the permits we had 2 permits for 2 piers. And they had to be a certain configuration. You have to send a diagram to the DNR and they have to approve it. Well, this year we bought the new piers. We tried to get enough piers out for all the boats, but we're not in compliance. We've got 3 piers, so we had to take. Do we have to take piers out or did we have to stop? I think we just had to stop.
What we have to do is we had to stop finishing the project.
And then we have to get in compliance.
The first pier, the new pier has to completely come out.
And it has to come out.
It can come out
And when we say new pier, we mean the south.
the south pier.
Well, it looks like
Old
this.
That one.
That one.
That's terrible.
For the marina.
Well, it's not because of that, it's because that one.
That one hasn't been permitted, so we are required within 14 days to have the pier taken completely out. The benefit is, to some point, is that none of the boats are tied to the pier. Consequently, we can have those piers taken out around them. I know it's going to upset a lot of people when they come out and they really think they'll wade in the water to get to the boat. But we can get those taken completely out. They'll be labeled, noted, so that once we get the permit, they can go back in according to the specs that we're permitted for.
I do have a question though. Could we at least have legal counsel take a look at the letter from DNR and, you know, either concur or disagree that
Sure.
what, you know, exactly what it is that we're taking out is what we need to take out.
Well, that's a good idea. And I think what they give us 20 days or
14, yeah,
15 days.
15 days.
And we have contacted Mr. Barron.
We have, and what he said was that he can get the 2 north piers up to specs by just moving a few around to get us into compliance with the diagram we were permitted for. That's going to be minimal. He said he would do that for us at no charge. He said he would charge $500 to take the south pier out, mark it red, white, and blue. So when it goes back in, it'll be easily identifiable to get it back in. We'll do a new drawing, get it permitted, and it's not going to happen this year.
Yeah, we
That's a
we
60 to 90
apologize.
days, they said, for us to get a permit.
Right, and that's why I was asking the question though.
Go ahead.
Because what they're saying here is the pier sections have 101 foot wide T. Well, the one that we stopped doing anything with, right? That one is only 8 sections going out, so it's not even, so I guess technically to make it, at least my reading, we'll see what the lawyer says, but it would be to maybe put one more section on the other side to make that 100 foot. You know, I mean, so that would be less than the 101, but I'm just throwing it out there.
But she's saying that one's too wide.
But that one it's only 80 foot. There's 8 sections, I think, on that pier. On the one that we stopped construction. I think there's only 8 sections. I mean, we can go double check. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's 8 sections.
Well, that's the whole thing. The T never got completed.
Well, no, the T never got completed, but there's only 80 foot. If the problem is that they want a T that's 100 foot, the only way to do that would be to add 20 foot to one side or move something, you know what I mean? So I think we have to get really clear indication as to what we need to do to comply. And maybe we can have them out there even with us to make sure, but.
Well, I think they were pretty adamant when I talked to Suzanne that they feel that we have sufficient information on this diagram that I doubt they're gonna come out from Indianapolis. We just need to meet these size specifications.
Okay.
And that's what Steve Barrett said he could do.
Okay.
He could start on it next week if we decide to have him do it.
Well, so then, reading this, the 101 foot wide, that one's only 80 now, so. I'm
But
not
that
sure.
one were too long.
Well, no, I mean, what do you mean too long? Going out, they're both 200 foot. Both piers, aluminum piers are 200 foot in length going out. 20, 10-foot sections. But in any case, I'm just saying we need to have.
Angelina, why don't you just get a hold of Justin and make sure he looks at this.
Yeah, because
Agrees with what we have to do, okay?
Steve's quoting here is just but a certain amount to do the work.
I understand,
Yeah, I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
Don't have to do.
but I don't want to get crosswise with DNR.
I think-
Understood.
One of Tracy's first jobs will be, I know,
Yeah.
to coordinate with the DNR and really get a good,
Get the water this weekend, so.
get a good relationship with them.
Day.
And the big thing is get the permit set up for next year.
Exactly.
And really get
I'm
things situated and work with them.
Kind of closer to the end of the season where I'll
Right.
have all letters.
Right.
And we apologize for all this, it's just one of those things, we got an opportunity to buy piers and we tried to accommodate everyone in it. It just didn't work out. Hopefully by next year, we'll have all this resolved. We'll have new permits for the piers. We'll be able to put them all. Okay, yes, sir.
Will Tracy have enough people on my Labor Day weekend to make sure that it goes pretty smooth?
To take them out?
No, to just work Labor Day weekend when people are gonna be down here doing.
Well, you don't think Angelina and I can handle it?
Randy and I've done a pretty
Tracy
darn good
And
job.
Randy?
Tracy, you should have seen Memorial.
Well,
4th of July was.
She
or whatever
Yeah.
weekend we have. That was
She
great.
she certainly has the authority to hire people.
She can
We
find
give her that authority if we can find them.
On that note, we have hired a couple of people. We hired a girl that's gonna start working the gate on Saturday and Sundays because our help's gone back to school, except for David, we still have. We've also hired Mrs. Boonstra, and we've hired Jan Jenke, who's doing grounds work and maintenance with Randy. So we're getting a little bit going here. Our other kid, Isaiah, he left Friday, was his last day. He's going back to school, so.
Does anybody have any questions? Oh, yes.
Yeah, the piers, the 25 sections of walking part of Shelley's and the 12 more fingers, are they to be used next year for that pier?
Are you talking, you're talking about that pier that,
Yeah, the one that's in the
Yeah.
back right now,
Can I
that's
speak
not
to
in the
that?
water.
oh,
I talked to Steve Barrett on that, and hopefully he's gonna put them in. He believes, and you can concur, there's plenty back behind the building that we don't have to use that.
We don't have to use those redwood sections.
So there's already a plan to eliminate that for next
Yeah,
year.
Okay, so you won't even use those next year?
no,
Not
I
the
didn't
redwood.
like that.
Not the redwood. Yeah, not the redwood.
Was it too
It,
black?
it scared me, so I don't want people to walk up.
It was sturdy, it did look long, right? Yeah. Our proposal.
Yes, sir.
Letting him finish.
Okay.
I know we delineated that we were gonna make a purchase every year for the new piers. Do we still have that budgeted and forecasted for next year, for the next aluminum section that's gonna go out? Cause we're talking about all this and we're talking about not using stuff and we're thinking that we're gonna have new aluminum piers that were approved, I guess, for the next few years, and I don't know if that needs to be done again. But it seems like that hasn't been brought up. We were talking about doing the straight outs and then
For the third year,
for the second pier, right?
Yeah, no, I think what you're asking is the 2 aluminum piers. Are we gonna continue if we get approval for the?
Yeah.
How we have it, to start making those aluminum instead of wood.
Right.
That's what you're asking. I think the
I
fingers,
think that was the plan originally, and then we were looking at, I believe the third pier was something that was gonna be optional once we got the 2 done.
yeah, I think the fingers going out, to me, in my opinion, should always be wood, but the main pier.
I think that was will be.
Yeah, I think the main pier itself, I think you're like that would be something we have to look at.
At the time when we voted
That's
on
what-
that, there was enough money in the budget, and it seemed that there would be for the next 2 years, that's why we voted on it. Tracy and Angelina can confirm that, but I think there will be enough, but that's one thing they'll have to look at.
That
Bring
just
before the board.
kind of,
Yes,
that was
at
talked
the
about.
time that was looked at, and there was enough in the budget, but things have changed a little bit, so that just has to be looked at.
Yeah, we've got some other expenses out there that.
I also wanted to say that in compliance with the letter from DNR, the swim ropes have been taken down today.
Yeah, we didn't realize that either. It's a public lake, and if you put a rope up for a swim area, you make it no longer open to the public according to DNR, so you can't have a rope designated a swim area. The state has. So.
That
Again,
doesn't qualify
It does-
for protection.
I asked
I
that
called the DNR to put a rope up at Coons Lake. At Kramer Beach, and they said there's no ordinance, there's no rule, there's no nothing, we're free to put something up.
I don't know about,
I actually,
And I
I
talked to
challenged her,
3 different people at
I
the DNR.
challenged her on that. I've called 3 different public beaches. And they say DNR has total jurisdiction, and I said to her, we have buoys there, but we have children that swim out there,
Correct.
and the jet skis are coming by. I said, to us, we did that as a safety feature, and they said, I'm sorry, but you have no right to do that because you're designating that as private versus public.
yeah.
And she said, I understand your plight if you can find another governmental agency that
See,
requires
I-
that.
I talked to 3 different people. I talked to somebody in Indy, I talked to somebody in the local area,
I
or
don't
2
know.
people in the local area, and I said, is there an ordinance? Do I need a permit? Do I need anything? Because we purchased it. And they said, no, there's nothing in the laws or anything that says, I said, is it a private thing? Is it a public thing? And they said, no. I said, we have a gentleman that keeps moving the buoy that's in front of the beach area. And we want to do this for safety issues and secure him into the ground. It's,
Right.
secure him in. And he said, there's nothing. He
I
said,
I thought there was
understand-
nothing until DNR came out.
I
so-
would get it in writing.
Yeah, I asked him that. If later, if I can connect with you to see who you
Absolutely.
talk to. Okay, thank you.
They definitely told us we couldn't do it, so I don't know.
After we just finished putting them up.
Back here.
So who's gonna pay if some little kid, God forbid, gets tangled in weeds or gets hit out there? The DNR or the state? Who's gonna be responsible for that?
Oh,
we have a
the
name?
county will be responsible. Pardon? Yeah, the county will be responsible.
We have it in writing that the DNR said we have to take them down, so at least we have
We
that.
have something.
You know, I just gotta ask a question because of the politics of that. Ed Charbonneau is our state senator. He lives up here. Has anybody ever talked to him, contacted him about what's going on, that silly stuff about the beach right now? Maybe somebody should, step on somebody that's a little bit higher downstate then. Because everybody in this room knows that's wrong. You have to have a protected area to protect the people, not only from boats, but God forbid a little kid gets hit or goes past that and drowns.
And should we,
I hear what you're saying, but we should make a little bit more heck than we're doing right
should we at least double check to say maybe it was said we couldn't do that because it wasn't part of the permit? Maybe if we included it as part of the permit, then it could potentially be okay. At least ask the question.
Well, you can ask the question. They were very clear
Right, about the.
when they said it. that You have to remove that rope. You can't do that. That makes it no longer a public lake. I'm just telling you what they're saying.
I understand that. And I'll tell you something. I've known Ed for 40 years. I sat across the table with him in negotiations. I'm gonna personally call him and put that before. They just got on a session down there. Passing some stuff. So, and he lives up there in Valparaiso.
Okay,
I
very
want
good.
to find out what's going on. That's just wrong. Period.
All right.
Scary.
What if you leave small openings in it? And literally hang a sign on it that says enter here, then it's open to the public, but there's still a marker there.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And I tell you, man, I know it's out of your guys' hands, but man, that's insane for us. Jet ski will be trying to.
They are. They come in there. They come in there. Boats come in there.
I know.
Evangelina's got a letter from the DNR.
Yeah, I'll do, yeah.
Maybe get somebody to fight that, right?
It's of interest for the state on the beach, and the state was running it, they had to go about that.
Yeah.
They had to block it.
Yeah, that's a crazy thing. I've been going there 50 years.
I don't know.
60.
I don't know, we could ask Justin to look into it too, I suppose. That's what they told us.
I would make the suggestion to those of you who are out there and see this. Pick that phone up and call the DNR and complain. Tell them you want a conservation officer out there. Tell them what you're seeing. They can come out there and do something about the voters getting too close.
Moving on.
We finished talking about the voting situation. How do we want to approach our current slip holders when we need to notify them that their peers are going to, the South Pier is going to be gone.
Yeah.
There's going to be, I'm sure, issues come out about whether they're going to get a refund or they're going to get a credit for next year's slip. I want to be proactive with this, and I think that we, as Stark County Parks, should formulate some kind of a letter and get it out to these slip holders ASAP, letting them know this is coming down the pike in the next 15 days.
You know how many people are gonna be affected?
Roughly 20, isn't
If they're all in, I did notice some had removed their boats already, so it might be a little less than that, but I would say between 20 and 23.
I would
These are all the names.
I would suggest that anyone that loses their slip, get a credit for next year.
Are we going to base that on the same formula we used for them not getting into their slip, depending on how many weeks they're displaced?
I think that's
Okay.
fairly.
We go to Labor Day.
Is there any discussion about that?
I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree.
I do, they may not want to slip for next year. I would give them also the opportunity to get a refund.
That's
for the rest
true,
of the year.
too, yeah. Now, it's my understanding, the plan is to remove that pier. And they're gonna be able to anchor their boats in the water.
They're already anchored because they're not allowed to tie
I
to the
know,
pier,
but
so
is
they're
that
already
gonna-
already.
Is that gonna be acceptable to the DNR? Are they gonna raise a fuss? about
I don't know
that?
how they could.
All they said was remove the pier.
Remove the piers. People auger their boats all over this lake.
Okay,
Although, just to bring up a point, we've been on them all year, but there are some on that pier who still tied to the pier, so. I'm sure there's gonna be 2 or 3 that when those piers go away, there's nothing to hold them in place, so.
So that's why we need to contact them well in
Yeah.
advance
Something's
to
gonna
let
have
them
to
get
happen,
augers
make sure-
out there.
just to make sure of that.
Why is the pier there if you can't be tied to it?
It's been the standard rule so that the boats don't bang into it and doesn't pull the piers.
that's why they use the article.
What is the pier for? Get out there? Or
Yes.
they got to
Have
walk water?
access
Yeah, no,
to
just,
rock.
it's there to be able to walk out to the pier, go out. walk
Pier
around
was,
the pier.
pier was there for access.
We gotta carry
It's like
everything out.
There's never water tight.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, carry it
Can I have
out.
more for a second? Carrie, back me up on this. If we take the piers out and those boats are cut out there, do they have to identification on them, Carrie? Is that,
There's a VIN number on all of them, but that has to be called in. You know, there's identification on every boat that has a motor.
For the
Yeah.
most part, in our lease agreement for the piers, I'm gonna guess 75% of the people have identified their boats by VIN number. We have a copy of that.
Right.
So we can work within that, and then the ones who don't have that information, we'd have to call it in.
I
And
know the
this-
one-
and I got the list here that
Okay.
names.
There's one's tied up on a buoy.
Spot.
The buoy has to have their name, address, and phone number on it. If they're just buoy auger down. I don't know if this falls into that class, but they can cure it out. And I was,
You know, those aren't on a buoy though.
Yeah.
Those are just on a-
all right, okay. Anything else about the piers? Yes, ma'am.
There's still, on the North Pier, the number 1 slip guy that was told he couldn't tie to the pier, he is still trying. And he's been told several times.
I think that's the middle pier. Complete north ones, the middle.
Yeah, North 2 or whatever.
Anything about this?
Oh, Randall.
I suppose we could give him something in writing from the attorney, and I guess if he can refuses to comply, he could lose his boat slip, I suppose. I don't know how else to resolve that.
Well, and maybe we can have the lawyer look at it, our agreement for next year and make sure that there's something in there if they,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
He's on the wooden
Certain
pier, but
times.
that's pretty rickety.
yeah,
I have one last thing to talk about this.
okay.
I know the main reason this happened is there wasn't good planning this last year for this year. And that's why, Tracy, you really need to start now for next year and work that out. We weren't expecting to get the piers from the marina. That's another thing. But if we get all this worked out before December, a lot of these problems will not happen next year. That pre-planning did not happen last year, so that's basically on you. So,
While we're talking piers, we need to talk about shore stations before these boats come out, because some of them are gonna come out before our next meeting, no doubt. But we want to be prepared on, are we going to offer storage for shore stations? If so, at what cost, and where will we store them?
The only reason why I raised that was, it was talked about at one of the previous meetings. I just want to get, I'm not necessarily saying we're for or against, but I just thought it was a discussion item that we always talk about. Because, and I wouldn't offer it to any other people than the ones who actually have places with us. I wouldn't offer it to folks that
How many are we talking about? Do we know?
we have to go look.
Well,
And I'm not sure how many would even take us up on it, but.
Last year we stored about 9.
Where did we store? 'em?
is that the
Way in the back by the shop, but that's all full of that.
Mulch.
Well, I gotta
Mulch,
move, I
mulch.
gotta move back, but. I would like to, if I may.
Yeah.
I'd like to see this winter not have anything back there. Pull that all into the center of that yard and burn all that trees and all that stuff. So I'd like to not put any storage there. The parking lot to the south of the beach house, where there's no houses across the street that would complain about the shore stations. I think that would be your best bet if you want to do something like that.
Right, yeah, because I think most of the concerns were raised by folks who have the houses behind that area. We did it on the south end where the,
That would be my suggestion.
where the marina.
And there's room there
Yeah.
for the one. And
And maybe we don't have to make a decision tonight, but at least we can say if we're leaning towards or against, then we can get some good numbers about, what it is that we would want to charge and that kind of thing. And then talk about, make sure it's the responsibility of the shore station owner to get their shore station on and off the beach. We would tell them maybe we're on and off, where to put it on the beach if we decide to do it, but.
do we have is there a list? Is there a list of the people who stored the shore stations last year?
I could not,
we don't have a list in the office, I know that.
I kind of know who it is.
My thought would be, because they've kind of planned to do that, maybe find a space for those 9 and not let anybody else do that, and then have a plan for the next year for storage. This way, the people who have been storing it are not out of luck all of a
This
sudden.
year when they come
And then
out.
next year, you got maybe have a plan to do that. I don't know if that sounds good to.
sounds reasonable. Yes, sir.
Could it be possible that you only had 9 last year? Because a lot of them Shelley stored, so Shelley's not gonna be here, so you could possibly have substantial amount more. I'm just going to.
That's right, a lot of them. On Facebook. People were asking about it.
But if we even considered it, I think it would only be to our own pier slip.
Yeah, our own.
Really outside.
We don't want
I mean, you could actually on the Facebook page, maybe do a survey, and see how many of them would even be interested and see. I'm not saying we would commit to do it, but at least. get an
Where else you
idea.
gonna put them?
Why don't you guys contact these people and find out how many shore stations we're gonna be doing? And then we'll consider the next meeting. We'll decide what we're gonna do. Sound reasonable?
Do we agree that we're going to have Steve Barrett take that South Pier out? We need to vote on that. It's $500. He's gonna get the other 2 to compliance and no charge.
Yeah, I mean, we have to, we don't have a choice. Do you think we need to vote on
Yeah, the only thing I would say is we just need to, again, get clarity on what those other 2 in the compliance means, so. But I don't have
He
any
seemed to
problem, I don't have any
understand.
problem with hiring him, definitely take it out, okay? And to make that change.
it?
And I continue to get calls from Les wanting to know the status. Am I okay to tell him that his services are no longer needed? Or do we want to keep him on the back burner? I think Steve's gonna put it in for us next year also.
I think we'll go with Steve.
Okay.
Mike was my, everybody else.
100%. He'll be taking off.
Yes, sir.
You know, we tackled them shore stations years ago. As you know, I live across the street from the beach. And it's before they had a park board of commissioners and that. And they stopped putting those shore stations for the winter time up in front of the houses and that to block the views of the lake and that. A lot of people at that time had to take them home. They were responsible for it. You don't want to store them at Larry's or something. Now there's a place cleared in the back for them and that. So I don't know, as far as a homeowner, I don't want to see them in front of my house on the beach. That's for sure.
Well, I think we're gonna try and put them somewhere where they don't interfere with people.
We're gonna go on other side of the beach house where there's no houses across the street from that.
It's just
It-
campground.
Okay.
It would be where the,
And then
near
eventually-
where the south pier is now.
Then eventually,
It
I
would be
think,
near where the south pier is now.
Yes,
Right,
right.
right.
and I think eventually we'll dedicate an area once we got a lot of cleaning up to do out around the campground. There's room out there to store things. We just need to get it cleaned up,
Yeah, we do have-
prepare it. Okay? Anything else about piers, docks, boats?
We're gonna vote on
We're gonna
that.
vote on that. Okay, is there a motion to hire Steve Barron to bring our piers into conformity with what the DNR says we need?
I make a motion.
There's a
Second,
second.
hire Steve to take the beer home.
I second that motion.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, very good. Sewer project. Angelina?
Okay, remember I told you that we had a company come out and offered to give us a quote from Illinois, the one that Tom Jordan uses for all his lift stations around the lake. That finally came in yesterday. And got it there. I literally choked. It's $32,500. The only thing I want to say about this is because I just got it yesterday, now we can work at finding competitive bids. I didn't know really what to ask a person bid on because I wasn't sure what they were looking at. So we can work on getting a few more bids in for that. To get us over until then, you already voted to approve Hill Excavating. We're 2 weeks out for them coming and blowing the complete lines out all the way to the shore station or the lift station. Once they blow that through, we'll have it pumped out. He said we should be good for a long time. So we will bide enough time that I don't think we have to worry about it. Last weekend, it went down again. That was $1,200, $1,255 to have the guy come and wire electric just so that the pump would work. So we keep throwing these Band-Aids on. We have to get serious and think about what can we do to look futuristically to fix this once and for all. So, like I said, Hill Excavating will be out for 2 weeks. I called him today on the schedule. Get that done and we're good till the end of the season. Tracy will have plenty of time to work on grant money if we need it for this. And we'll work on getting much lower quotes, I hope.
Right. Well, that would need to go through like a formal bidding process too, right? Or no?
What?
With the amount? The sewer. I mean, would that have
No,
to go through the whole
32 is
bid?
not above the,
Not above it.
you can still get quotes and do
Just competitive.
competitive quotes. I think it's 50,000.
All right, very good. Pavilion rental charges redefined.
We've had talks and Sharon had a great idea. Right now, which we rarely do, rent the pavilion for $45 a day. That is just the pavilion. Any of their guests coming in still have to pay the car entry fee, whether it be $5 or $10. So like Tracy said, you're invited to a party, you have to pay $10 to get in. We thought about maybe upping it to $100 for the pavilion rental, and that includes their guests coming in. And we have had some of the campers would like to use the pavilion, which they do. Maybe considering allowing them one pavilion event per campsite per year at no charge.
Doesn't happen very often.
It doesn't.
No.
How many times a year do we rent the pavilion?
We've rented it once and it's this Saturday.
Yeah, exactly, yes.
And
Use it.
But like I said, that lady's having a party and she's rented it for $45. And we're going to get the gate fee money, but is that really fair? Or is it better to let our guests come in and just up the rental for the pavilion, which to me, $45 is very inexpensive
what is,
for a venue.
but what does it cost us to let somebody use that pavilion? I mean, it's
A
just.
little bit of electric.
It's
Putting
the
tables-
electric thing?
Cleaning it up and putting tables in and
Yeah.
being ready for them, that's about it.
Well,
There's electric.
I think 100 is a lot. I would suggest maybe 60 and then let the guests come in. Yes,
I didn't know, excuse me, I didn't know you weren't renting it. Back in the day, we used to rent that here. I mean, that pavilion on the north end, three of us, the last Saturday of the full weekend in July. Our families would come in, we had the boat, we'd stay there for the fireworks, it was $50. And they put a sign up there and we had electricity too, that was the dark part. I didn't know you stopped renting it, but that was years ago, believe me, it was years ago. But they always rented it then. So I didn't know you were getting any money to rent.
$100 isn't much.
huh?
Said $50 years and years ago.
Yeah.
$100 now really for a venue isn't a lot.
I rented it like a couple years ago and we paid 125.
Larry had
Really?
125.
Larry
had
got
125.
150.
125.
That just seems like a lot.
Well, you get access to the water.
Oh, yeah. I've seen it.
Washrooms.
Yeah, I've seen the experience there.
Swimming.
What does everyone think?
I don't have a problem with the campers getting an opportunity to use the pavilion as part of their thing, but I do think you have to reserve it sometime in advance. Or
Oh, yeah,
the-
it's definitely for that.
Yes, they do.
some set time period, and I really don't think $100 is unreasonable if you have a lot of people at a party, really, because there's cleanup fees and setup fees and electricity. I really,
They could have as many as 1,000 people or more coming.
Oh, that's true.
You know, that'd be $250 if you spend it.
Yeah. Okay. Is there a motion?
And make a motion that we offer the pavilion at a rate of $100 and that there be some several week notice ahead of time to be able to reserve that space. So there isn't any.
Does that include
Confusion.
free for the campers each side? one?
Yes.
Okay.
And each camper gets one free.
I hate to be a kind of a devil's advocate here, but what if somebody reserves it for like a 4th of July and a Labor Day, and then one of the campers doesn't use it? And we could have rented it to somebody else. Is there maybe some kind of deposit, and then you get it back for free? If you don't use it, you know what I mean? Right.
Yeah,
just-
we can watch it, yeah. It's never happened.
Right.
All right.
Second, I'll second that.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Very good. Okay, campground garage door project.
Okay. Obviously, we have a bad garage door and so what I did was I called two places, Overhead Door and Express Door in Valparaiso. There wasn't a lot to pick from. They don't service our area. I called DC Garage. They do service the area. The benefit there is they're in Knox. And so if we have a problem, they'll come out. The way they quoted it, you guys have it in front of you. Without an electric door opener, you're looking right about $1,100 for a manual. If you wanted the power, then it's gonna be $1,660. So, I know, they came out, they measured it, they quoted it. I think manual's fine.
Is that insulated door?
It is an insulated door.
Oh, it's my opinion, the size of that door, I would think manual would be okay. I don't know. We'd have to have.
I just quoted it, have them quoted both ways, just see what the difference
Works
is.
easier than this one, fine.
Well,
It's hard to build up a-
and then it doesn't have a gap like.
It's not like-
Yeah, it's not a big.
That's my.
That is something that could always be in.
Yeah.
It's only for the lawnmower goes in there and now we're still.
The weed eaters and the loggers, yeah.
Just keep it hot.
Now, normally that would be within the
Yeah.
purview of the superintendent to do that. So if Tracy, you want to do that,
Okay, well, before, when I was doing this, we didn't have a superintendent. I know we
I
needed. a
understand
grad work, so we have those augers in there, and I wanted to protect them, so. But that,
I would just say, look at the budget.
Yes.
Make
I got a lot to do tomorrow.
Right.
We want it all done by the end of the day.
I think the approval limit is 2,500, right? Anything over that,
Yeah, that's what-
anything less than 2,500, you can use in discretion. And then we review that in the financial report each month. Anything over that, you have to get board approval.
Okay. Approval of claims and paying routine bills. Are there claims from the take care of anything? Any other business to come before the board? Yes. Yes. Bruce, yeah.
Oh,
Let Bruce go ahead. I'm
which
sorry.
one? Us, him, me?
Yeah, Bruce, yeah. let
Okay, Bruce,
Yeah,
go for it, Bruce.
almost forgot.
Earlier this summer, I attended a 4-day forestry conference in Austin, Texas. And field trip included a visit to one of their a large conservation easement around Austin. They have quite a few of them to preserve the environment and protect the water. And the lady that managed that gave the talk, and in her talk, she had a quote that she gave. And the quote was about conservation and, how we conserve what we have. And the quote was by a forestry engineer from Senegal. And his name is Baba Dione. And this quote was in 1968 in India at a world conference on this issue. And he said, in the end, we will conserve what we love. We will love what we understand, and we will understand what we are taught. And it's obviously a very famous quote because I Googled a couple of the words and it came right up on my phone. And the reason that I Googled it was, it's exactly why I donated to Starke County Forest. I couldn't have said it better. I had that intuition, but I didn't have that quote. And I just thought it was so perfect that I had to bring it up, because I know when you apply for grants, like you did for the parking lot, you're throwing out these grants, and to have a mission statement, which we don't have, might be really good. It just adds a little bit to applications form. So I would like to have the board accept that as our mission statement for the Starke County Forest. If it's a vision statement or a purpose or something, maybe that's the better slot, but I thought mission statement was the best slot for this quote. And I would like to have it not just accepted tonight and forgotten tomorrow. I would like to have it, properly done, but with the documentation for the forest. The original trust agreement that I wrote up, I think is probably where it belongs somewhere, so that the next time we meet it in the parking lot or whatever it is, it would just be a little bit. And I'd like to get it written up and put on the board out there. I just thought it was so perfect that I wanted to bring it up tonight. And I don't even know what it would take. I assume that, this isn't controversial. I assume you would agree with me that should happen, but I don't know how to make it happen. I don't have an attorney here tonight.
I think that it's a wonderful idea. I think our forest is a tremendous, thanks to you, a tremendous asset to the county. And I absolutely agree with that. I think that's something that you, Justin, and Tracy can get together and get a statement to amend the agreement, the amendment of the original grant. And I think that's a tremendous thing. And in fact, not only amend the agreement, but have a plan with that we can approve at the same time going forward, kind of using that mission statement to plan for going forward. I think that'd be a wonderful thing.
And Justin is
The county lawyer,
the new attorney.
new attorney, yes. And Tracy's new superintendent. Tracy, have you been out to the forest?
I have not, we talked.
We're gonna make an appointment to go for a tour.
That'd be great.
Anybody else that wants to go on the tour with us is welcome.
That wouldn't be a bad mission statement for the whole park.
I was thinking it'd be great for the whole park,
Yeah,
it's on our
it is
website,
perfect.
be on our logo. I got a vision for that.
It's got education in it. It's got, it was,
I think it's very.
the more I thought about it, the more I realized why it's still around after 1968.
Right, thank you for that.
Thank you, Bruce. Thanks, ma'am.
First of all, I want to thank you for getting the signs since last meeting. It was fast. But since then, I've had like 6 volunteers that have come forward that want to do some things down at the beach. I've been in contact with Rick. He's been trying to get a hold of Gurley, our commissioner.
I did speak with him today.
Oh.
And communicated with him.
Yeah,
And he was waiting, he wants to wait for Tracy to get established.
okay,
Let Tracy get couple weeks under our feet to get things situated.
Okay,
And then come down and Tracy can meet with Kramer Beach and Mark Gorley will go with us. And we all go down and assess that situation, but he wanted to give Tracy a couple weeks
yeah,
before we did that.
okay, that'd be
Because
great.
She just is
I've got
starting.
volunteers like Mr. Cameron here and, Mr. Ted Burley wants to help. There's a bunch of people guys that want to help and have ideas to improve our beach area and make it even better. But we haven't been able to connect. There are still broken seats down there. There's those round tables. There's
I
still
know, I
low and the
promised you I
seats
would
are
look into that,
broken.
and I can't figure out how to get them out of there yet. without-
Yeah, 'cause
we
they're
need equipment to get
concreted
them
in.
out,
And
right.
that's kind of a basic part of the area that we want to work on and
Right.
stuff, so.
Yeah, they need.
Commissioner Gorley's main thrust was that would be up to Tracy to make recommendations on that. So maybe you want to meet with Tracy and you can introduce her to the beach and do that. And that was his idea.
There was a guy here, I think he used to be alone. Do you remember his name? He was from Coons Lake area.
Ted Beerley.
Ted Beerley. He said he has equipment, he would be willing. to
Yeah, I mean, I've
volunteer.
got people that are willing to
Okay.
pitch in and help, but we just need
Just-
somebody down there to say, hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go with this. We like your ideas.
That's what-
Let's get moving on it.
Tracy is gonna take care of that. And the commissioner, and when they make an appointment to do that, if possible, I'd like to be a part of that. too.
That'd be great.
Cause I've never been there.
More the merrier.
More the merrier. Yeah, because we're like the little forgotten beach. I mean, we
Yeah, I
stand
know.
here for 45 minutes.
I know.
I mean, it's great that you guys have all that stuff, but we'd like to get our little section going and.
We share here, you know.
And make sure we have a beach.
Yeah, we're all for that.
Thank you.
That's-
Is there any plan to fix Bass Lake Beach with new sand? It's nasty. They were promised last year for sand.
I'm sure.
Didn't go to us.
I heard they were counting this story.
We have another year.
They were actually, we voted last year to have the beach cleaner and reclaimer in there. We had to pay for other
Pay for that
things.
too.
Yes, we had to pay for and some sewer things and some other things with that money. That's something that can be worked out. Yes, that's also very, you can get grants for that as well.
For
That's something-
sand?
Yes. Yes, to
They
read,
need to do something and they need to keep dogs off there.
we
People haven't paid attention
got
to
the one
signs.
grant to do the erosion control on the beach, which already has been done. And it's an extension of that, you can get more grants.
So if we needed more sand at Kramer Beach,
It's not like them bringing sand. You have to have a plan to renovate the beach and improve the beach. And part of that is erosion control. It's a long process and it's not just, hey, we want some sand, come bring it.
right?
Yes, you have to there's a plan to do those rocks and erosion control. It took about 2 years to get it for Bass Lake Beach. And then another year to get it put in. So it's a long process. And that's why it's important that the superintendent's in place to do that.
Okay.
Because before, when we did that, it was just people in different positions doing it, and there was not as much coordination. So having someone that can do that is very important.
Thanks for.
We definitely understand we need to make more improvements and we're working
Well,
on it.
it's just, yeah, but the weeds and.
I know. I know, there's a lot of.
It's not good for those kids.
We've been handicapped by not having a superintendent.
I know.
Hopefully, here on in the future.
But can you ask the people that work the gate? They should be checking cars for dogs. I mean,
Now,
they're
I
on the
can
beach
speak to
every
that
week.
because we can only police it so much. We can't be there all the time. When you got somebody at the gate, and again, we're short staffed, but you know as well as I do, you've seen me moving
I've
dogs
seen
off the
you.
beach plenty of times.
This weekend, they were there the whole day on the
But-
beach.
And there's signs, I mean, there's signs everywhere.
I argue with
But,
us.
yeah, but I don't.
Fight.
Fight with us.
Well, one was a service.
Well, that's when
dog.
you call.
Yeah. They wanna know how.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing issue that we really wish that we could just make it easier to resolve, but without more bodies in place. It'd be great to have somebody on staff, especially in season, who did nothing but check the trash cans, pick up litter, get dogs off the beach, get glass
I find
bottles off the
myself
beach.
trying to tell them dogs don't belong on the beach.
I,
And it's not really my job, but I
don't
get to
listen.
say
Hey,
it.
they tell you.
Linda.
Signs right there.
Grandkids, I can't even let them go on the sand.
Linda, next time I go to chase people off the beach with their dogs, I want you to come.
Yes,
I will.
And you'll know exactly what you put
I
up
see you
with.
and Sharon taking a ride.
They
See
love
those
their
two
dog
dogs?
more
Yeah,
than
we
they love
did.
life.
You can't yell at them. You
No,
tell
you
them to get off the beach.
Terrible.
They say we don't have the authority. We
They
don't
tell
have
me
the
I don't have the authority.
I take the dog. Even though it's nice.
Yes, sir. Maybe we could put this in their lease agreements.
No, no, these
No,
are,
they're not.
these are public beach, these are public, people that come to the beach.
The public rates bring their dogs.
Very
Let them
good.
grass in the sand. But not on the because it's state law against dogs on a beach because of what they do and kids training. We try to explain that, but they just argue with us all the.
A couple weeks ago, we had a camper back into the sand on the beach. Park his truck and he camped there.
Okay, I tried to find him. I put a note on his door saying, no campers allowed. You may take your camper across the street and park.
I know. people-
And they ended up, I wasn't there. Who was it? You saw him, they read the note, tore it off and threw it away.
Mhm.
When they left.
I mean, I kept going up there and there was no one there. There was no one there. Then by that time, we couldn't move because the place was so
Everybody
full
now
of hard showing it was.
You guys have the authority to call the police to have.
Yeah, sure.
It's the only way to solve the problem is that we proactive. I think it'd be a good idea for Tracy to meet with the sheriff, and I know you know the
Yeah.
sheriff, so.
We talked.
And
And just come up with a plan, to, you know, how you report it.
Yes, sir.
That was my point that I'm trying to get in between all this was, there shouldn't have to be any of us,
No.
whatever, dealing with unruly visitors, right? So that's law enforcement's duty.
That's right. You got law enforcement, you got tow trucks, you know, you don't have to put up with it.
I guess what I was trying to lean towards is there's some process that they have the ability to ask politely twice, and then the third time it's free strike you're out.
Yeah, I don't even think you have to ask twice. I
One
just tell them
time,
once.
one
You
time.
can tell them
Maybe I'll
one
just
time.
ask
there's time.
differently, because every
You know,
time I
one
ask,
time, if they don't comply, say, this,
they come back. when I come back. Yeah, they do. And then I go back and tell them again.
yeah, it's too dangerous. to
And what about a service on ADA dogs? Do we really leave them on the beach?
No, it doesn't matter. There's a beach
See,
area for an
she
ADA
said she
dog.
can- Because the dog does not pee on sand,
Okay.
but yeah, we walked by and it was peeing by the slide. It doesn't pee on the sand, but it peed by the slide.
He wasn't nervous.
I got swallowed by a coconut water, too.
Gotta love people.
Oh, yeah. And the young people that are at the gate, they are inexperienced.
Sure.
with people. So you can understand they don't know.
Yeah.
They shouldn't. They're not.
And they
entitled to it, period.
hide the dogs. They just hide the dogs a lot of times.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's hard for the
And I tell you,
public to.
this has been a real struggle. This summer.
Sand pits and all that.
And I think the board's learned a lot. And I think we'll be a lot better prepared next summer.
Mhm.
And I think we've got a good superintendent now. And I think things are gonna be much improved from here on.
Mhm.
And I appreciate all your patience. I know it's been crazy, but we're getting there. Just hang in there with us.
Yeah, we just went through the Bass Lake Festival. And, I just want to call out a few things. Angelina. She was there uncontrollably, in and out and everything. Tom Bush, he was there helping on the piers. We had some problems on the beach that I called him about. And, Randy and Sharon. Sharon's out there at 6 o'clock in the morning, walking that beach, picking up cans and paper and stuff in it. Well, most of the people are sleeping. We kind of say hello and that. But she does that. Randy's always there, and I'm sure he's got a crew behind him, and I don't know all of you that pitched in. You spent about 2 or 3 hours out there the other day getting acquainted in that, appreciate that. But as far as the festival went on the beach, and I've been there since 2001, this was probably the best that I ever saw at that beach. And that was all last minute. It was all without a superintendent in that. Had a fabulous car show. There's a pizza oven there. Had the Lions Club, had the beer garden over there, had the volleyball. And the next day they went on to the cardboard races, which if you've never seen it, you ought to see that. The kids in that, it's really something to see, and it'll get bigger. But you guys did a heck of a job, and like you said, hopefully the next year we're coming along and learning that. But
I would
really
thank you
appreciate
for
it.
that, Rick.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
And the beach does look beautiful. It looks the best I've seen it in a long time. Agree, Rick? It's just so well taken care of and mowed and weeds. It looks
really
All right, I got one more item.
Sure.
Earlier in the year, when we found out that those auger poles were not useful for putting in the pier sections. We thought we might be able to sell those, but we were told, nope, you can't sell those because they're county property that they have to be auctioned. So all I would suggest is we get a count of them and then find out what the process is to put those auger poles in whatever the next county auction is for.
People are stealing them now.
So, yeah, and then that's.
Yeah,
They are worth some money, they may not be worth as much auction, but we ought to, get them collected and secured and.
The county organizes auctions as they have enough equipment to do that. They have them at the county garage. All the other departments bring the extends to the county garage, and that's where the auction is. I think in the last 7 or 8 years, there's been 3 auctions, just once every 2 or 3 years. I can contact the commissioner to do that. Charlie Chesick is the commissioner president, would be the one scheduling that.
Charlie,
Chesick.
okay.
Do you have any idea how many poles you got?
No, there's
Ballpark.
there's quite a few. I don't remember.
Well, you got big way in the back too.
There's-
have a whole bunch in the back.
There's
So we
yeah,
had to store those until that would happen.
Yes.
Yeah, you would do an
And,
inventory.
and the county has storage at the glue factory that they may be able to put some of those things in there, depending how many there are.
Right, because, and we do kind of want to make sure that they're separate from the usable pier parts, because these are not usable for piers, but they are usable for auger poles that people need to auger their
I
boats.
wouldn't do anything with them until after you get your piers in next year.
Yeah, that's probably a good
In
idea.
case you need to draw from those for anything.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
but we can't use them for pier erection or construction, not at
Not
all.
the auger ones?
No, because that was exactly what both Steve Barron and Les said that that those couldn't be used.
I
for-
have to stop you because Steve was out and met with Randy and me on Saturday. And he showed us which ones can be used of those poles. Any of the white ones are junk. He said they're not even worth saving. Go ahead and get rid of those. But the other ones he said are
The ones with
usable.
the big nuts and bolts on them, those are junk. But the ones that are, you can get right inside and tight.
Yeah, my understanding is the usable ones are the galvanized ones and the ones that are wide enough to be able to work with that Muncie hardware.
Well, we have a superintendent now, so. the
So
superintendent will
we should
take
just
care
look,
of all
yeah. We should,
That were live.
so we should just look into it, separate the junk from the.
Actually, it's like being boss.
They're all gonna take time.
Oh, yeah, we know that.
And that's no rush on that.
Right.
All right, anything else? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I've got a couple of things. Richard and Stephen was out today and redid some of the internet system out there. And it seems like it's quite a bit better. So kudos to those guys that came out, did a good job. They explained to me what it was that they're doing, so I could help explain to other people that, they're doing a good job. And they're working on it.
They did a fabulous job and there's just one little weak area still, but where we were getting complaints like around site 8 and that, that's full power. Yeah, they're
And
gonna be happy.
the other, I got a couple.
Sure, go ahead.
You're getting a quote for the filming of the sewer line.
They're gonna blow it out and
Okay,
then,
so they're gonna
Jet it
jet
out,
it
yeah.
out. Can I get a quote for you? Because it's $35,000.
oh, this
Yeah.
jetting is separate from.
I know, but filming of it, that is so far out of the ballpark.
When you're talking
No,
about
that
the
wasn't
filming.
filming,
That's just to jet that out and then we'll work on this quote for the $32,000 is for a whole rebuild of the lift station, new pumps, new
Oh,
power
okay,
board.
okay.
Yeah.
All right, I misunderstood that, that part of it, because
I know in a previous conversation, you had said that when they were gonna jet it, they were gonna camera it so we could see what that line looked like after they jetted it before anything else got in there to see what we were dealing with, because we have no idea, as I understood it, what it looks like from the bathhouse to the lift
Okay,
station.
from the manhole to the lift station, he did the camera. We were gonna go, what, 30 feet? It couldn't even go 4 feet because it was so plugged, they couldn't camera it. So
So they're gonna jet it.
they're gonna jet it, blow it
Are
completely
they
out.
gonna film
Film
it
it?
so we can see what's going on with that line is what Terry's asking.
That is gonna be an additional charge that we'll have to ask the price for because
Okay.
originally, what was it a foot that he was gonna charge? I forget, I'll have to look it up.
I was
So
saying,
it's so much a foot.
Right.
You said it was an extra $900.
About $900.
I think it was 900 too.
Yeah.
To do from the manhole to the lift station.
But that's something the new superintendent can approve, right?
That's right.
$2,500. I'm learning a lot here.
I've already got it.
It just, it is a valid point. Yeah, if you're gonna spend whatever, 20, 30, 50,000, whatever it's gonna be, to know what that line looks like before we even do anything else, because that may be an additional 5, 10, whatever different place.
That's a good idea.
So,
My,
sorry to
question-
jump on.
my question is, can I get you a quote from the people I used to work with for years?
For the jetting or for the whole?
Both, they do both of it.
Well, we're already on the guy's schedule because it was approved last meeting, but I would happily share you the quote that we got for the complete
If you
lift
would,
station.
and I'll have you something in a couple of days.
Good, because that's the problem. I couldn't get any quotes until I knew what I was asking for.
And the other thing, was, what, have you guys done the 5-year plan to find out, like, when you get trim trees, when you're gonna get stone? Randy spent a lot of time out there trying to fill those darn potholes. He didn't have any stone to put in them.
Yeah.
You're dragging around.
Right.
I don't know if you guys are considering doing that next year or this year, or whatever.
Yeah.
Is it-
Tracy will get on that.
I don't think we have a quote yet, but I talked originally about getting a quote for doing the whole campground. There's no sense just going in there and doing a little bit here. a little bit there.
roads.
We should get the whole thing done, you know. So once we get some quotes, it may be next year, but we're getting late in the year, so it may be next year.
I guess what confuses us, Dick, is.
Yeah.
There's a mountain of gravel by the highway drives. I mean, a mountain.
No, there's not. It's on State Highway
And
ten now.
that we can't have- And
I can explain that.
I know everything's got its category.
No, all of,
To an average guy like me, it's just, what the world?
Well, I can explain that too.
I know.
All of the money for the highway department comes from the gas tax and from registration of vehicles. All of it, property taxes, nothing else goes towards highway work. Because long ago in Indiana, money going to the highway departments used to be used for other things. They made a law saying all that money from the gas tax and from the registrations has to go to county roads. And the roads in the campground are not county roads.
It should be.
Well, that is up to the commissioners. That's up to the commissioners. And also there's some rules about, you can add roads to your inventory, but there's some rules, you have to have it paved a certain way and do things like that. The state won't approve it otherwise. Because of that, none of the highway money can go towards that. So the county can still use the highway department to do that, but the county has to pay for it from other coffers or other funds to reimburse the highway department to do that work. Because it's a very strict state law and they really get people for not, you can never do anything outside though.
I guess my thought on that, Rick, is they can buy it at such a reduced price
Yes.
compared to what we could buy.
Yes.
A little bit amount.
And the highway department has done work for
Yeah,
other things in
that
the
would
county,
be
but they have to be
something-
reimbursed. The commissioners have to approve that, to do that.
And I know that they've done work for the Vestland property owners.
Yes.
before with like erecting
We can
signs
hire
and
them
stuff
to do
like that.
things. But it has to be approved. Okay. So,
and are the tree trimming thing gonna be also, in your schedule to,
yes,
do,
Yes.
because
yes.
there are trees that now. I go in once in
Yeah,
a year.
Yeah.
But you have weekenders coming through there,
yeah,
and they're driving some very, very nice equipment.
yeah.
And those tree limbs are about 7 feet,
I know.
so that's kind of.
When I was out there, I saw all that.
Okay.
And now that we've got a superintendent, again, I wanna get a quote about going through the whole campground and taking up the limbs that would need to be taken up, so that we don't have that problem. But we need to get a quote and then we'll vote on, I don't know how much it's gonna be, but we'll hire somebody to do that. And whoever does it, they're gonna have to remove that stuff, because I don't want them leaving it there like. we did before.
did before.
Yeah,
The other question is, how much, and I don't know if it's in my business or not, but how much money do we have left over at the end of the fiscal year last year? Because we don't get that information in the meetings,
Yeah,
you know.
that's probably something the auditor could answer, okay?
Okay,
Because it's public record, you know, everything, all our income and expenses is public record. And it would probably be something, I don't know offhand, the auditor would probably be able to answer that for you.
what is our present, you know, financial situation in the kitty, I guess?
Yeah, you had a figure on that, didn't you?
It's called Grim.
Okay,
You wanna look at that? I really don't know.
I could, yeah, I'm not
Probably
sure where
better. I just started getting into that because I just got access to
we
it.
are. And I talked to the auditor about our budget. We're allowed to spend whatever we take in. The income we make is our budget.
Because up until this year, the county council had pushed in money towards the budget. This next year, they did not approve money for the budget, so it's all the money that was taken in. Right now, the cash on hand, after all the expenses and things, is $88,250, which is not that much. It really isn't for operating expenses and everything else, so it
Our
really,
electric bill's been running us $527 to $430 a month.
And the thing is,
So when you guys leave your lights on all week long, when you're gone, think about that.
that sounds,
Well, not all of them, yours
sounds like a
are.
fair amount of money, but that has to get us through until we start
Next year
collecting
again.
next year again. You know, we're not gonna make any money this winter.
So, Richard, what you're saying then is that there is zero tax dollars, Starke County tax dollars going into the Parks and Recreation Department.
That's correct.
It's all by revenue that we generate through both sides.
well, no, this year, that's not, this year, some of the budget from this year,
They gave us.
32,000 for this year is from the county seated. Seated funds.
I couldn't find where that ever showed up in there.
I thought I saw a number of about 20,000.
I
heard a different number.
too.
I have a
That should
question
be,
regarding
people should know that.
lights that she said they're left on.
Uh,
I'm back in the corner. There's no safety at that campground.
No.
People come through there, they're stealing us blind. Somebody stole 4 of my chairs to my table. Picked them up and took it. It's so dark back in the corner. If I don't leave those little lights on, it's terrible.
Yeah.
I mean,
Maybe we
People
can
can drive
consider,
around all the time.
maybe we can look at NIPSCO putting some.
they need lights, or they need
Or
a
they
gate
need
in the front so
somebody-
people can't just drive through there.
Yeah.
It's getting ridiculous.
Let me see. Get on that.
There's no light at the gatehouse anymore.
That's all.
That's gone. They just drive through and then they start.
Do we just need to put a bulb in it?
I don't know. It wasn't at the beginning of the year.
I'll check it out.
Probably needs a bulb.
I don't know.
We do have a light on the garage.
That's right.
So when my camper sit.
Right.
Oh, it's flat, so I don't think I'll do light on.
You know, we appreciate you bringing up all these things that are needed
It's not on
and that need to be done.
So it's probably
We'll try to get to them, but like I say, it, you know, like the money we have now, part of it is gonna go to Tracy's salary. We're committed to that. We're committed to certain things. There are utilities we have to pay and different things, so we're gonna kind of probably slow down now and then next year gear up again when we get more money. Okay? Because it, you know, once we run out of money, we run out of
And the
money.
council did say if there was a project or some big thing that we needed, we could go to the council and ask for money individually. They're just not gonna put it in our budget. That doesn't mean they're not going to approve money, but they want to be able to vote on it in a case by case basis.
Yeah, and I tell you what, I understand what Rick's saying, but they're gonna look at us and say, whoa, look at all this money you're taking in. You don't need our money. I know that's what they're gonna say.
Sounds like they've already said it.
Well, they did, and that's because when Dave was here, he told us how much money was in the, that you guys had, and then the budget meeting came, and it's, because we didn't spend, no, you guys didn't spend no money. So when you get a new budget for the following year, if you don't spend some of your money, they're not gonna
I
give you money.
know, that's what I'm saying, I'm gonna
That's
find out where that
exactly
money
They
is.
didn't give us, they gave us a little bit of seed money, but they never gave us a budget.
Well, he gave us,
He said $200,000.
oh no, he said we had 80-some thousand in that meeting.
Yeah, I was very confused.
Yeah.
I heard a number of 200,000.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
It sounded like.
That's what it sounds, the revenue from the campground plus the seating. So most of that is the revenue from the campground.
Right.
32,000 is the seeded money, the rest is the revenue from the campground.
When I talked to the auditor and said, what is our budget?
Yeah.
She told me your budget is your income. Whatever your income is, you can spend. You can't spend more than. Okay. So. But I think, we got 88,000. I think we're gonna, and we had some fairly expensive things we had to do this year. We bought all the pure stuff and everything. So I think we're gonna be okay this year, but we're gonna slow down now and then we'll pick it up again in the spring. And now that we have a superintendent, and, I think we have a good superintendent this time. And we're gonna work with her and she's gonna let us know about these things and prepare for next year. We didn't really get prepared for this summer and it hit us in the face and knocked us down. So we're gonna start in about February planning for next year.
Which is, since I'm kind of new, I mean, does this board actually approve a budget for next year, or is that done by?
Now, we
Somebody else.
are supposed to approve a budget that goes to the council. We did not do that this last year. It was written and it's just given to the council. They basically carried forward the one from the year before, but did not add the seeded money. But yes, what happens is the superintendent comes up with a budget. The park board approves the budget. This is in December.
And this is more like an English version, not like the
Actually,
lecture.
April and May. The budget hearings are May and June. They approve the budget. We approve the budget. She submits and that gets submitted to the council. That's the ideal way to do it. That is not what happened this last year.
Anybody else?
I just got a message from one of the campers asking me to ask you all, is it possible to shut the gates at 11 or midnight until 7 a.m. and just tell all the campers they're responsible for shutting it if they come in or out to keep people from coming where they don't belong?
And it would deter people from just
Yeah.
reading through there and.
I don't know why we haven't done that all
Yeah.
along.
There's a lot of them living in
Yeah, but they're saying shut the gates.
Campground or the beach?
The campground.
I think the beach one should be done as well.
Uh-huh. Well, I think we should shut it and not lock it so that the boaters can't complain that they can't take midnight cruise.
Well, they have another gate, don't they, Rick?
No.
Pardon?
Boaters, don't you guys have that other gate?
No.
Oh, that's the,
Just by the
houses. Oh,
Talking about this.
okay.
There used to be a code. We all had a code. to get
Yeah.
in there. What happened?
It was a lot, it was a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Wow.
And all the campers had a
That's fine.
code so they could get in and do whatever they needed to.
Right. I'm sure your
I'll work on
superintendent
that.
will get that.
Yeah.
But I mean, do you guys agree that it would not be totally convenient for you to have to open the gate when you drive in?
I think it'd be, I mean, at night, people ride through there
I
all the
think we
time.
should start doing that today.
Late at night.
Yeah, they do come in.
Yeah, there was
And some of
what,
them are drunk.
two kayaks, bicycles.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything we can do to keep it safe. Okay. Yes, sir.
I gotta say one thing on behalf of Tracy. She knows a lot of people around the lake. Some of my real close neighbors were surprised when I told them that she is the superintendent of Starke County Parks. They thought all she does is the beach and the campgrounds. That's all she has to do. She has the whole area. And it's, oh, really?
Yeah. It's a whole
Big shoulders.
Yeah,
She'll make
it's a
it.
big job. Anything else? I want to thank all of you for being patient with this and helping us out here. Okay. We'll call this meeting adjourned.
I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second. All in favor? All right, we're adjourned. Thank you all.
And that would be up to the, Tracy working with you. I know this is.
Because, you know, our camper that I love.
Wait.
Right now.